You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook.
You, George Foreman, all of you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him. All of you. I know you got him. I know you got him picked, but the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan, University of North Carolina.
Once upon a time, there was a young basketball player who had dreams of becoming one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
All right, guys, welcome in to Watson's Playbook. It's episode number 37 here. We have got some exciting news like I talked about last episode as we were joining up on Riverside. Me and Jeff, my buddy here, we were tired of the miscues, the fuzzy connections. So we decided to fix it. We jumped on Riverside, which not only allows us to record awesome audio, it allows us to record video. So that's what you're seeing now. This is a sports podcast show with a little bit of everything in between, some video games, movies, movie reviews, and everything in between that. We're going to break down, and we got the headlines of the week for you. We got the spotlight of the week, which is the main topic of the week that we're going to talk about, and some side notes in between. So let me welcome in my good buddy Jeff, as you can see him.
Hey, I'm Jeff. I'm a big time baseball fan. Obviously, I'm also Bronco fan. And so, yeah, I hop on here. I talk about, sports news, sports topics, and then, game stuff as well. So if there's any game news and things that we may want to talk about or things that we're playing that maybe you want to shine some light on, I'll do that as well. So.
There we go.
Brian.
There we go. Sorry, I had to get that the Green Bay Packers logo in there. As you can see, I got my Brett Favre blanket up on the wall. So anyways, let's jump into the episode here. Actually, my bad. Let's jump into how our week is going, Jeff. My week has been pretty bad. Last week I broke down at work 3 times. I worked 14 hours on Monday. I worked 12 hours on Tuesday. My truck broke down on Saturday. I was there for way longer than I needed to be. I've been riding a different truck. I work like 12 or 13 hours today. It's been a long week, stressful at the workplace, but more hours, more money. So that is the kind of the bonus. I prefer to be home and relaxing with the family. But other than that, it's, 70, it's supposed to be 78 tomorrow, Jeff, 78, and Groundhog's Day today. And apparently he didn't see a shadow. I think that's how it works. And he's supposed to have 6 weeks of winter. So I don't know. I'm ready to get into that warm weather, but, how's your week going, buddy?
It's gone pretty good. Just work. I've been working, and then also kind of just chilling out, watching some shows, catching up on stuff, working on some of the projects I was talking to you about with the guy I'm interning with. So, and that's a long process. So it takes some time because there's a lot of like little tedious things I have to do, and so it takes time. But the cool part is he's real patient with me. So I think I mentioned that on the podcast before,
right?
But other than that, nothing much. I know I had another death in the family.
Oh my gosh!
So that happened, I want to say last week, and I think it actually happened on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. My mom texted me, and it's my grandfather's twin brother. So he lives in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and it was COVID related. So he just, once he went in the hospital, they ended up releasing him, which I think a lot of people were kind of confused by why, because he was kind of still old. So they were like, the family thought that was a little too soon. So anyway, he went back home. He ended up getting sick again. So they brought him back in there, and then he passed away. So yeah, it was just it's been a crazy time, but I haven't had a lot of deaths go on so quickly. So
yeah, well,
yes,
that's something we kind of have in common. I've had 3 people in our family pass away in the last 13 months. So
jeez,
it's been insane. It's been crazy. 2 to old age, my grandma and her sister, and then my uncle in a way. He passed away. He had all sorts of problem with him, but he was like, I think in his upper 50s, so not old age there, but
yeah.
Enough.
I mean, you gotta. It sucks, but it is a part of everything, and I'd rather my family members have not be in pain anymore than continue to suffer, stuff like that. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. As you can see, this is episode number 37. This is our episode number 1, though, of the video podcasting. So we're still kind of getting used to it. We're really excited to join Riverside and use them, and hopefully it turns out well here. But let's go ahead and jump into the headlines of the week. And we're going to start off in the headlines of the week. Is just going to cover up anything that happened on this week that we think is worth talking about. So number 1, the Nolan Arenado trade. Nolan Arenado gets traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. Arenado is a good baseball player, Jeff. He's one that I want to hear in Texas. He's one that we said we were going to go after. I don't have high hopes. I am a Texas Ranger fan. Don't have high hopes of us ever getting anybody, but Arenado was a third baseman for the Rockies. He's won a Gold Glove each year he's been in the league. He got traded to the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. They agree because Arenado just got a big contract last year, 6 years over for $199 million. The Rockies traded him away. They decided to pay $50 million of that contract, so the Cardinals went and had to eat all that money. And it seems just like it's a salary dump because the Cardinals send the Rockies 4 prospects, but none of them are in the top 100 prospects in all of baseball. So it just seems like a salary dump. It's a little mind blowing to me that no other team got in on this, especially the Rangers. We didn't hear much about him being on the market. But what we do know is Arenado did have a no trade clause, so maybe that played effect into it, where he chose where he didn't want to go, where he wanted to go, and maybe that's just exactly where he wanted to go in St. Louis, and told him to get the job done. But I'm a little shocked that no one else that we heard of in the news really stepped forward to take away that deal, because there's a lot of teams out there that could have offered more and done more for the Rockies than what the Cardinals gave them.
Oh, no, I agree. I know there's a lot of talk about the whole, COVID season, and teams don't have enough money, and everyone's being frugal, Even the Yankees, they've been playing a lot of money ball lately. So there's a lot of teams. That's why it was so slow. It was a very slow off season.
All right.
And a lot of teams are wanting to, they're reluctant to spend. And I think some of that is also to take into consideration the collective bargaining agreement that's coming up.
Yes. And that, and also COVID, not knowing how COVID's going to affect their overall income and owner money and all that good stuff, and what they're willing to spend. You're exactly right with that. And I didn't even think about the players agreement and everything, which I forgot to put in here at the last minute. I heard that the MLBPA Players Association is going to decline the MLB's offer they were going to offer a month delay in the season. They were going to offer only to play 154 games with extended playoffs, just like we had during the COVID year. They only played 60 games last year. They extended those playoffs. I hear that the players are set to decline that offer as well. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know if they're really dead set on the players are dead set on not having the bigger playoffs, or they dead set on not playing that many games because COVID's still going forward. I don't know what it's going to take to get a season started this year, but it seems like the players have something that the MLBA just ain't, the MLB just ain't hitting for the MLBPA. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you've heard anything on it, but it's just kind of a head scratching of what it's going to take to get a season started.
It's kind of weird because I think that when it comes to trying to understand why these teams didn't jump on things, DJ LeMahieu, there was nothing. You heard the Dodgers were interested in him. Outside of that, nothing, not a thing. So it's like, is it because some of the small markets don't have the money to spend and then they worry about the CBA? Is it some of these small markets lost a lot of money and they can't really do anything because they don't know when fans are coming back? They don't know what the season's going to look like. Teams like New York, LA, they have the money.
Oh, yeah.
They have the money. So it's like, well, what? They're the ones that are able to spend. Cardinals, I think, have a pretty decent amount of money. Tampa Bay, no, they fire sold this year.
Yeah,
they fire sold this year. So it's just this. If the CBA, if this players agreement happened sooner and we didn't have a potential lockout situation coming up, it would be different. I think we would have definitely saw more people pouncing on different opportunities. We just saw multiple salary, I guess, like offers being shown and everything. But teams that's why the Yankees were so easy to be like, go test the market, DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
See what someone's willing to pay for you. And, they weren't afraid. They didn't fear anything. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird, but I think the collective bargaining agreement's a huge.
Oh, yeah. It's
huge reason.
It's, yeah, very much so. And I think we might see the same thing coming up and when NFL offseason after the Super Bowl is this Sunday. But after the Super Bowl, maybe teams are reluctant to spend. I hear, I don't want to get too far off topic, but I hear the NFL cap space room for each team is going down this year because of the COVID, because the NFL lost so much money with no fans in the stands. That's going to play a big part in that as well. As far as who's allowed to spend. And I'm afraid that that's going to affect Green Bay a lot because we have a lot of issues cap and not a lot of cap issues, but we have a lot of players we need to bring back with a little less money to do so. And our diva quarterback wants more money. But that's a different subject there, Jeff. All right, let's jump into the number 2 here. The Dallas Mavericks have lost. I had to update it, Jeff. 6 straight games. Luka Doncic come out the other night. They lost 5. last night they lost number 6. Luka Doncic came out and called out the effort of the Dallas Mavericks players. The Mavericks are 8-13 so far this season. I know it's early on, but it's a bit concerning as they sit in the number 13 spot in the Western standings. And it makes me wonder, is maybe last season's success was an overachievement, the talent that surrounds Luka. Can they rely on Kristaps Porzingis being there and being healthy? He just came back not too long ago from his injury. But they have some issues to figure out in Dallas coming off of what they did last year. I don't think a lot of people predicted that the Mavericks were going to do as good as they did last season. But they shocked everyone. They got up. They were the number 7 seed. And a lot of people projected that the Dallas Mavericks would finish number 4th in the Western Conference and be a contender or middle, 4 or 5 or, maybe 6 at the least there. But they might be struggling to fight for a playoff spot when it comes down to the playoffs. I think it's the players around Luka Doncic, and I don't think they have enough players around him. And that falls back into the Dallas Mavericks not being able to land that big free agent, which they never have been able to do. And if you can't get a free agent to come there and play with Luka Doncic the next couple of years, you got a big issue. I don't think Luka is going to sit around like Dirk did and not come close to winning as much as Luka and his talent brings to the game. I think he would go elsewhere, but I'm interested to see where they land. Now they could turn this thing around, and yes, COVID has hit the Dallas Mavericks pretty hard, but it's still got to be concerning for the Dallas Maverick fans. And I don't know. I think you're a Dallas Maverick fan, Jeff, or you follow the Mavericks, or you like Dirk Nowitzki or whatever. But I mean, who doesn't like Dirk Nowitzki? But you got anything to say?
He's a bastard.
All right. I Jeff's gonna be gone from the show. I gotta, what a horrible take now.
No, I this is an exciting team. I mean, I think they're an exciting team. I think he's still pretty young. This team's pretty fresh and new, trying to put pieces around him. Mark Cuban is not going to allow the same thing that happened with Dirk to happen with Luka. And the reason I say that is because he knows how good this player is. He made a mistake by letting Nash go. He's admitted that. Nash admitted that. It was a mistake to leave. So they made all these, I think, mistakes down the road, and it took longer for Dirk to get that title. I don't think it's going to take that long for Luka to get that. I think he already has star power. People talk about him. The games are his stuff's all, people always want to watch him play. And I think once some of the major stars leave the game, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like LeBron, things like that. I think that it would, and then you have like places like the Nets, but they're set. And that's a one and done kind of thing. Their windows now. It's not 10 years from now. It's not 5 years from now. It's the Brooklyn Nets that's their moments now, because they got Harden and they got all these other guys. But I think with Luka, he's going to build this team around him. So does that mean they're going to get some free agents? Maybe, probably. I would assume so. Does that also mean that it's not out of the realm of possibility that they bring in some talent from even overseas? It's possible. But I think Porzingis is good. I just think that the problem with the Mavericks, they have no defense, and the stars they have are great pieces to put in there, but they're not going to change the game. And I think it's unfair to, first of all, the season's still pretty new. It's relatively still new into the season. We're not too far into it, but I don't think that nobody needs to sleep on this team. they could jump on fire in 2 seconds. And then next thing you know, you're talking about a 10-game win streak. And they're like, nobody's even talking about this anymore. So there's a streaky team, I think. And they got rid of a bunch of pieces, I think, to possibly play the free agent market, and not just this year, but I think next year too. I don't know what the free agent market looks like next year, but I know that they were playing that too. They were banking on Giannis, but I think Mark Cuban isn't stupid. I think he knew there was a big, strong possibility that he would sign back.
Yeah.
So
which he did. And, the biggest thing right now is the NBA has turned into a 3-point contest, and the Dallas Mavericks are ranked very dead last in the league in making 3 points. They got rid of Seth Curry last year. He was a big 3-point shooter. A lot of problems right now is I think the Dallas Mavericks think Kristoff can be a number 2, but he's not. To me, in my opinion, he's a number 3. They still got to find the number 2, in my opinion. And the other guys that they have, I listening to 105.3 The Fan talk about the other starters are players on that if they played on other teams, they would be they would come off the bench. They wouldn't be starting. They are a young team. There was questions about maybe it's time for Rick Carlisle to change his ways or go. He's a really good coach. They talked about how Rick Carlisle is great at coaching veterans. And when the Dallas Mavericks won the championship, the whole team was made out of veterans. They were all older players. There was no young rookies. They were wondering, is he the coach to bring in young Luka and to bring in these young guys? Can he coach them to win? I don't know. But I do think that if they do not bring in some help, that Luka will not stay there his entire career like Dirk did, like the Dallas Mavericks are hoping he is and will be there for his whole entire career, however long that is. But it's just an interesting subject, and they do have definitely time to turn it around. It's just a bad start. But don't get me wrong, Luka Doncic is the next star. He's a beast, and I just think they got to give him some help, or it's all on his shoulders.
I think I disagree a little bit. I disagree with the whole he's going to leave. I don't think Luka will leave. Not because I don't think he wouldn't toy with the idea. Even Dirk toyed with the idea.
Oh yeah,
he toyed with the idea. But I think that he sees how respected Dirk was, and then he also had another idol in Kobe Bryant, who never left either. Even during the hard times, he didn't leave. So, I mean, the tail end of Kobe's career, they were not doing well.
Oh, no, they were not. Trust me.
So that could have easily been a moment where he was like, I'm going to go play Cleveland. I mean, why not? I'm going to go play in Miami.
Well, he did. If you do remember, Kobe Bryant did demand a trade, but he didn't leave and didn't go anywhere.
He wasn't going to go anywhere. That's his home.
There was talks
That's
about
where he belongs.
There was talk about trading Kobe Bryant for Dirk Nowitzki, and Dirk Nowitzki said, "Go on, Mark. It's Kobe Bryant. I understand the trade." And Dirk, obviously Mark Cuban was like, "We're not trading you away." So. But
I think it's young in his career. I think Carlisle is one of the best coaches in the game. He's just really good at making players focus. I think he's good at that. I think they respect him. It's like Doc Rivers. I mean, they're just respected. This guy is and I don't know if it's that time yet to just pull the rug out and get a new coach. I don't know what coach they'd get. I don't know who they'd get. I don't know who they would put in there to replace somebody like Rick Carlisle. It definitely couldn't be somebody who's going to be like, do what you want to do. I don't care. Because I don't think that's a good thing. And some coaches want to be friends versus who at one point Rick Carlisle benched him. They were like, he wasn't playing well and he benched Luka. Who would do that? I mean, he's not afraid to be the tough guy when he needs to be. No matter how big the star you are, no matter what, he kind of holds you accountable. And I think if you have a coach like that, honestly, I think it's a better team because it shows some humility a little bit.
All right. The next thing, I put in the NBA standings here, the top 5 standings, because we haven't talked a lot about the NBA. We've been talking mostly football, the playoffs, all that good stuff. So the top 5 in the East go as this. It's the 76ers is number 1, the Nets, then the Bucks, the Celtics, and number 5 at the Pacers. And then the West, you got the Clippers, the Jazz, who the Jazz have looked really, really good this year.
They have looked good.
The Lakers, the Nuggets at number 4, and the Grizzlies at number 5. So the Grizzlies and Pacers surprised me a little bit at number 5, but not too much. We've still got a long way to go and where the season's going to end. It is a shorter season. I think it's 72 games this year. So we'll see if that plays into it. It's not as short as it's not too short in my opinion. Like baseball last year was only 60 games and that was really short. This next one was the ESPN article put out this week, and let's take our time going through this. It is a pretty interesting article. They came out with an article that they predict how far each team in the NFL is away from the Super Bowl window. So I just went in and listed these names. They have the current contenders, the on the cusp. There's still a year away, then 2 years away. And then on the upswing, and then there's trust the process, Jeff. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in trust the process. It didn't work out too well there and with the Philadelphia 76ers. But the current contenders, they have the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Bills, and the Packers. That's it, those 4 teams. And I'm guessing they're just going off of the NFC and AFC championship game because that's who all played. So, I mean, I do agree the Packers, the Chiefs are contenders. The Bucks are contenders as long as Tom Brady's there. And the Bills, I would have moved them into more of on the cusp because they're almost on the cusp. This is the first year they made it to the AFC championship game. The on the cusp teams, you got the Saints, the Ravens, Seattle, and the Rams. They're on the cusp. It could be next year or whatever, this next season of getting there. Still a year away. You got the Colts, the Browns, the 49ers, the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals. And I thought the Cardinals were far more than a year away. Although they looked better in the last 2 seasons, they're still not quite there. I would put them 2 or 3 years away from me, in my opinion. 2 years away, you got Miami, you got the Chargers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Minnesota Vikings. On the upswing, you got here comes a lot of teams here. You got the Raiders, Panthers, the football team, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Bears, Falcons, the Jets, Jaguars, and the Giants. And in the very last category, you got trust the process. So they got the Texans, the Eagles, the Bengals, and the Lions. There's a lot of teams there. I know I named off and a lot of different things, but are there some teams that you say they make you kind of scratch your head where they put them and go, what in the world? Why would you have them
there? Cowboys. Why would I have the Cowboys there? They should be trust the process. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't have any quarrels with the list. Nothing sticks out. I mean, the Broncos, it makes some sense. I think that on the cusp is a very accurate for them.
Yeah.
We're not in the worst situation and we're not in the best situation. And I think that, I think they're a team that can easily be overlooked. And then when they do well, it's one of those where you're like, ooh, they're pretty good. So it's kind of a weird thing. I do agree that I think, did you say the Browns were 2 years?
The Browns are still just a year away.
Okay. That makes total sense. Right. The Browns are good, going to be a good team next year. Really good. If they get better and plug in the holes,
Right. Well,
they're gonna be a good team.
That head coach, I think the head coach there, Stefanski, who came from Minnesota,
coach of the year.
Yeah, he's going to be coach of the year, or he should be. Let's just say that should be coach of the year. The way he's come in, and what the main thing I noticed about Cleveland, Jeff, is you hear all the noise before. Years ago, they got talent. They're going to go to the Super Bowl, and they end up falling on their faces again. And we're like, oh, they're the Cleveland Browns. This is what they do. This new coach has come in. You haven't heard of anything. There's no noise coming out of the locker room. We're going to go in and we're going to play football. And I think that's what he's got this team back to, focusing. I think the Browns are just about a year away. They get them a couple more pieces. The Miami Dolphins, they have under 2 years away, and I think that's false. They were 10-6 this year. They missed the playoffs because their division. Miami, I think, is a year away, maybe even on the cusp. They just got to figure out their quarterback situation. That's going to be a big. Maybe that's why they have them 2 years away. Is because maybe Tua doesn't work out. Maybe they are fine tuning Tua Tagovailoa there with them. 2 years away, Vikings, Cowboys. The thing with the Vikings is their quarterback situation with Kirk Cousins. He's getting older. Is he going to get better in 2 years? Probably not, in my opinion. Do they trade him away? I don't know. There was talks about the Niners really wanting Kirk Cousins for some reason. I don't know. Interesting stuff. The football team up on the swing. They have a good defense. They won the East this year, Jeff, even though it's not that hard to do these days. They need a quarterback. Did they find a good quarterback? If maybe they trade for Deshaun Watson. So there's a lot of good things. Some good teams I think they put in the right categories. Yeah. The trust the process, and I think the Texans are there because Deshaun Watson. I think we all figure he will be playing somewhere new next season, even though
or possibly sit out. That's another possibility,
right? The owner said they have no reason or they don't want to trade him, and I agree. I wouldn't want to trade a franchise quarterback. So we're going to figure out there over the off season if anybody trades for him. Or if he's forced to sit out. If he really does sit out, that'd be interesting to see because we haven't seen that from a quarterback where they actually set out. The Houston Texans are asking Jeff for, I think it was 3 1s, 3 2s, or it's 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 defensive stars. And that's a lot. I don't know if anybody's giving that up for him. But we'll see who's going to, at the end of the day, who's going to be more stubborn than the other, and see if Deshaun Watson gets traded or see if he gets sit out.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot to give up.
That's a lot to give up. If you're doing that, you're saying I'm ready to win now, and I think you have to have a team around him.
If you give up that much, though, you ready to win now? Or does that dismantle a little bit and you have to kind of hopefully draft some studs?
Yeah.
Now that can produce now.
Well, I mean, even with drafting, you're hoping to hit in the later rounds because you just gave up your first and second.
True.
So, yeah, I don't know. The only team I think that could afford to do that, and I don't know about the defensive stars they're wanting, the Indianapolis Colts. They have a good team. They went pretty far with Phillip Rivers, who was washed up. They get a quarterback in there. They got a good offensive line. They got a good running game. They got a good defense. So they're one quarterback away from really being a contender in the AFC. There, maybe they could do that. They're still trying to figure out because Phillip Rivers retired. They got Jacoby Brissett as their backup, and he's not the starter. So they got to figure out what they're going to do there. But it's going to be interesting. That's going to be the main headline over the offseason, I believe, is where Watson goes. And, if Brady wins another one, does he retire? Does he keep going? Is Aaron Rodgers, Jeff, leaving the Green Bay Packers? That's the next bullet.
Yes.
No, he's not. The next bullet point of this is rumors running wild in Green Bay as sources say the brain trust in the Packers organization wants Rodgers out, and the coaching staff does not. Now, let me iterate this to you guys.
Dun, dun, dun.
Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere, Jeff. It's not happening. All right. And the Rams apparently called Green Bay in trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers. And they didn't do it. Or they would if they wanted Rodgers out, they would have traded him. Now look, I'm a realistic fan. I can have those conversations with just about anybody. I understand that Aaron Rodgers' trade value at 37 years old, coming off, he will be the MVP of the league this year. His trade value will never be higher. So yeah, it would, if we wanted to trade him, we drafted Jordan Love, right, in the offseason. We drafted Jordan Love. If we wanted to I actually watched a video talking about if we trade Aaron Rodgers, we could fast track our rebuild. We throw Jordan Love in and use those picks to add this team. And this team's not that far away from winning, right? We've been to 2 NFC championship games. I can concede all that and hear all that. I just don't think it's happening. Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay, Jeff. I don't know for how long. Maybe he retires as a Green Bay Packer, and maybe they're talking about trading Jordan Love after they just drafted him in the first round because they thought Rodgers was at the end of his career. Maybe he could play like Tom Brady's playing, he's 42, 43. Maybe Aaron Rodgers plays that long. We have no idea. All I know is
70. Tom Brady's 70 years old.
All I know is, Jeff, Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere. Period. It's not happening.
I mean, nobody saw them drafting a quarterback either, so I don't know.
Yeah, and let me tell you this, Jeff. I don't want to go on a rant about the Green Bay Packers too long, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, Jeff. Okay, a little bit. Everybody, this is the excuse. All right. Well, y'all didn't draft a wide receiver to help out Aaron Rodgers last year. Why didn't you draft him any help, Brian? Why? Why did you not do that? This offense, Jeff, just put up the most points per game in the NFL. We averaged almost 32 points a game. That was more than anybody else in the history. Not in the history, but everybody else this season. Even the Kansas City Chiefs, Jeff. He has a top 5 running back. He had a top 5 offensive line in the league. He has players on the offense. He has a coach that is great at play calling and setting up this offense. And he had a top 10 defense. There was no excuses for Aaron Rodgers this season, Jeff. No excuses. He choked. The Packers choked. And it is what it is. We move on. But I'm tired of the narrative that, the Packers didn't give him any help. He has enough help. Next year, maybe not, because we don't have any cap space. I hear the cap's going down, and we're going to be restricted on who we can bring back. We got big players leaving if we can't sign them again. Aaron Jones will be gone. Alan Lazard is probably going. We're losing one of the best rated centers in the league because we can't afford to pay him. And Aaron Rodgers wants more money, Jeff. So I don't want to hear about not getting him any help, especially if he's going to want more money. He already takes up 20% of our cap, Jeff. How can you ask for more of that and then expect the Green Bay Packers to still pick guys around you? It doesn't make any sense. There's my Packer rant, Jeff. Yeah.
Show him the money.
And here,
show him the money.
It's really starting to frustrate me with Aaron Rodgers, but we're going to go into the side notes edition of this episode. And this is we might change the name coming up, but it's just some side notes of different things. Now, NCAA football, Jeff, came out today. Breaking news that NCAA football will be back. And I'm so grateful for that. I loved NCAA football. It went away for a while and everyone's been dying to play it because Madden's been garbage the last couple of years. And it hasn't really, I don't think it's really gotten much better. I've been wanting to play it, Jeff. How do you want to play NCAA football? I've been dying to play this game. It's going to be on the next gen consoles, the PlayStation 5. and the Xbox, whatever number that is. But
I have to admit, I haven't played a college football game in a long time. So
sounds fun though, doesn't it?
It sounds interesting. I wonder if 2K is going to be taking a part of this. Because we know EA said, okay, simulation NFL game. But did they ever say anything about simulation college games?
I'm not sure. I know EA is the one who made the NCAA game, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if they have Madden, right? Who's making this game? We know. I'm trying to think of the team that behind that makes the Madden games, but obviously there could be another team that makes this NCAA game. So I wonder who that is. And I know that 2K has an agreement with to be able to make certain kinds of games, but that's with NFL licenses.
Right.
I wonder if this is EA, a new team, or is this just like EA saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a separate team," which I assume it would be a separate team. It's just interesting. Because it's like, I don't know if this agreement is exclusive to EA or is this agreement open where anybody can make.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if there's a set contract in place, but
knowing EA probably is.
Yeah, knowing EA, it's probably law and lock for the next 15 years. And I'm hoping 2K gets it. I'm hoping they can show you what they can do with the football games, because in my opinion, 2K blows, and when sports blows most people out of the water, especially with basketball. The basketball game that they make is, I mean, by far the best that ever to do it. And
I don't understand how profitable this is for the NFL and for the NCAA. This whole agreement with EA, because we all know that the more competition there is, the more money they make. I mean, if 2K were to make a football game and EA were to make a football game, the NFL makes money off that.
Right.
So by locking it away behind some kind of wall that puts EA on it, and they're the only ones who can make these games, you're creating a bit of an issue.
What's interesting, well, like I would love for 2K to take it over and show you what they can do, because I think eventually it'll be successful, and the NFL will go, well, maybe we need to rethink about signing up with EA and maybe give 2K a chance to do it.
The cool part is that the partnership with the NFL with 2K was to create an arcade non-simulation game.
Right.
Today's news was EA saying, "Hey, NCAA football's coming back." Is it exclusive? Is this? Are we not going to see another developer make a game that's NCAA? Is this? I don't know. Like, is this going to be exclusive to EA, and EA is the only place you can get simulation football?
Probably, unfortunately. Now, I've always liked the college football games better than the Madden. So I will pick up when it comes out. I will pay when I get a PS5. I will pick up that NCAA football game, and I think a lot of people are wanting to play that. But I just think it's big news. And great that it's coming back. It's something that's wanted. And I think it's, and the NCAA games have played a little bit differently than the Madden games. Thank goodness.
You'll have actual real players' names probably now that they can profit off of that.
Right.
Players. And
then Jeff, you want to talk about this. It's the MLB The Show.
Yes. My game. So I play MLB The Show every year. This year's exciting because we're having the new consoles. We haven't seen the trailer yet. We just got a little snippet of the cover athlete, and this year's cover athlete, I think it's from Pittsburgh.
Yes, Jeff.
Let me find him.
Not
real
Pittsburgh,
quick.
San Diego.
Or not Pittsburgh. Yeah, San Diego Padres.
Diego.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes.
So
he's a beast.
So this guy, it's pretty cool. It's exciting. It's a new cover athlete. What's even more interesting is this is the first time MLB The Show will be played on other consoles.
Yes.
So other major platforms. This means that Sony San Diego is making a game for Xbox. And
how sad is that, Jeff, that MLB has been kicking baseball's butt, like making the best baseball game there is, that the Xbox people said, this isn't fair. And they were forced, PlayStation, MLB The Show was forced to put out this game for everybody. That's how you know they're kicking butt over at PlayStation.
Yeah. So there was an agreement with the baseball, MLB, and the Major League Baseball Players Association. So you have the Players Association and Major League Baseball were looking for a way to make, I guess, more revenue. And they looked at it and they said there's no other baseball games on the market. Even RBI Baseball, which was produced by Major League Baseball, didn't do very well. So I think, and so at one point, all Xbox had was RBI, which is a mobile game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of gives you an idea. So this is a good thing, as much as it's weird to see. This is money in Sony's pocket that they're going to be. And this is that. The funny thing is as soon as an Xbox person puts that disc in there, they're going to see a Sony splash screen right on the TV. It's going to be weird. It's going to happen. It's going to happen both ways. Whenever the new Skyrim comes out, the Elder Scrolls game or whatever, the same thing's going to happen. It's going to have a splash scene, a screen of Microsoft on there for PlayStation. Yeah. But ultimately, it's good because it puts even more eyes on the Sony brand, especially the San Diego team that's been just killing it every year. The graphics is going to be interesting to see this year, and the new features. So they did say they're going to announce more information in the coming weeks, collector's edition. And then obviously they do a beta every year before the season. So I usually get sucked into that beta every time. They send me an email almost every year. So I go in and download it and get to play it and see what the new features are. But yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. It means more money in baseball's pocket, more money in the players' pocket, more money in Sony's pocket. And honestly, it's an amazing game. And I can't sit there and say that I think everybody should play that game. It's one of the best baseball games I've ever played. So. Yeah,
it is. It's insane. And it's by far the best baseball game you can play. I remember back in the day, I played a 2K baseball game and it was bad. And then I played the show and I don't play in a baseball game. That's it. The show is it. Yeah. And that's all I'll ever play. One thing about baseball I forgot to add into the headlines is that the baseball for a long time now, Jeff, has been looking for ways to make more money, make the game interesting. They're trying to change different things up. So baseball actually went and hired Ken Griffey Jr. and is going to he's going to be, I guess, assistant to the what's his name? Who's the owner of the baseball? Rob Manfred.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great idea because, first of all, Ken Griffey Jr. is one of my favorite baseball players of all time, and he was the cool kid on the block. He was the one that brought in. I'm going to wear my hat backwards. He played really good baseball. Unfortunately, injuries did a lot to his career, but maybe he can bring in some cool, interesting ideas of ways that they can bring more fans in. And I think it's awesome that they're looking for that. And I think it's awesome that they hired Ken Griffey, the ultimate cool kid on the block. If for those that are into baseball now and don't know who Ken Griffey is, if you're just now getting into baseball, go watch his swing. It's one of the best swings of the baseball bat you'll ever see. But I think it's awesome that they did that. And like I said, just kudos to them to at least they're trying. They're trying putting efforts. I'm not a big fan of Rob Manfred, but I do like this move by Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent move. He fan favorite. Nobody has ever had bad things to say about Ken Griffey Jr. I didn't I wasn't like paying attention to. That was kind of a weird time when he was playing because I was sort of starting to pay attention to baseball, but not really, you know. And then once I started, and he was with Seattle for, I want to say like maybe 5 or 6 more years, and then he went and played somewhere else with his dad, I think. Is that right?
No, he started with Seattle with his dad. Then he went.
He ended up somewhere, and his dad was manager. He went somewhere, Cincinnati.
Yeah, he went to Cincinnati. Did he play anywhere else? He played Seattle. He played for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati was the end.
It was the end. I don't know if he played anywhere in between.
Yeah.
But, like I said, injuries end up cutting his career way shorter than it should have been.
Yeah, it did. And I think he's a great person to put into this position. And I think, in a time where sometimes you question management when it comes to sports, whether it's general manager, whether it's like Roger Goodell or whatever, like, and even in baseball with the whole Astro situation, when you question all that kind of stuff, this is a good sign to see them do something good.
Right. Yes. I'm not a Rob Manfred fan because of the whole Astro situation. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So something me and Jeff are going to start to do is we're going to pick out a documentary each month, hopefully, and we're going to review the documentary. It's going to be mostly sports. We might throw a different documentary in there. It could be something different. And we're going to review it at the end of the month. So this month's documentary is something that just hit Netflix. It's called Athlete A. It's something that I didn't even know about until one of my friends on Facebook posted about it and went on a big rant about this. And I said, that sounds interesting. Let me go ahead and watch it. Let me go ahead and put that down for this. Sorry, I had something in my eye. That down for the documentary. So look forward to the review at the end of the month. It gives us enough time to watch it and kind of take our notes on it and figure out how we feel about it. But that's something we're going to be doing here at Watson's Playbook as well. So
I can also put I can put a link to the trailer in the description. And
yes, please also, do that. That's awesome.
When I go in to edit, I'll just put some information about it there. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, they can look there too, and then kind of watch it and then wait for us to talk about it. And if they haven't want to put any input in it through email or something like that, any questions they want to ask, then that's a way to do that.
And now that we, you can always find us at Google, Apple, and we have a Facebook page. There's Twitch. We have a Twitch. Jeff goes on there. He runs the Twitch account. He goes on there and streams games. We'll be live. We'll be able to live stream eventually here when we get all that set up. But now we're going to have a YouTube channel, and that we can put the video on. We need somewhere where we can put the video on consistently. Where there's going to be a Watson Facebook page or Watson YouTube channel. We'll be able to throw that out there as well. So look forward to that. Do you have anything else you want to throw in the side notes segment here, Jeffrey?
I'm trying to think of anything I can top of my head. No, I don't think of anything. I think we kind of covered it all, actually.
We did. We did a good job there covering everything. Now, the spotlight of the week. All right. The spotlight of the week is obviously the main topic of the week. So I want to put a spotlight on it. And it's something that we've just got to talk about. So over the last weekend here, there was a blockbuster trade. And this broke. And I was like, holy moly. So we heard a couple weeks ago that the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford has decided to part ways with each other. So it was kind of a mutual agreement with each other saying, hey, we're headed in maybe a rebuild. You're headed in a different direction. Let's go ahead and mutually part ways. They said this trade would happen before the Super Bowl. Well, it did. The blockbuster trade happened. The Rams trade Jared Goff, a third-round pick in 2021, a first-round pick in 2022, and a first-round pick to 2023. They trade all of that to the Lions to get Matthew Stafford to LA. So what I've heard all week, Jeff, is who won this trade, Jeff? There's got to be a winner and there has to be a loser. Jeff, who is it? Who's the winner? Who's the loser?
They all lost.
Or are they all losers? Or are they all winners? That can happen as well. It really can. So I got my different viewpoints on it here. Do you want to go? You want to start off here? You got any hot topics or any hot takes you want to put in there?
I would say.
I mean, if you,
I would say the Rams. Honestly, let's just say what it is. The Rams got better. Okay, the Lions. Obviously, he didn't want to play there anymore. He wanted a trade. So, how could the Lions have gotten better? The Rams were in the playoffs. The Rams got better. I mean, that's just it. They got better. They have now a quote unquote better quarterback than Goff. And Goff's off to Detroit. I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, he can't seem to be healthy. They have no offensive line. He's going to get murdered.
Murdered. Now, I honestly thought maybe the Lions trade Jared Goff for more, maybe a first round pick or a second round and get more draft picks because they are in a rebuild. They added a new GM. They added a new head coach. Could they trade Jared Goff or do they plan on keeping him? So from the Rams' point of view here, Jeff, I had some notes here. So the Rams are aggressive, Jeff. They are a very aggressive franchise, and a lot of Rams fans probably like it. But traditionally, what they're doing is not the way you run a team. So it's interesting to see if it works. They're doing things that are unheard of, trading away first-round picks like they're candy. Jared Goff was the Rams' last first-round pick, Jeff, in 2016. They will go 7 years without a first-round pick as they traded away those picks to add stars to the team. Jalen Ramsey, Matthew Stafford, they bring in some other players too. They traded away first-round picks to bring in stars. They're in a win-now mode, aggressiveness. They're remaining aggressive with this trade. They sent all those picks. They think they got better at quarterback. Now, it all depends on what your viewpoint of Stafford is. Do you view him as a bad quarterback? Do you view him as a good quarterback stuck in a bad organization? That's exactly how I view him. He's a gunslinger type mentality. He's a good quarterback who wasted his career with a bad organization and such as the Lions. Now he gets the top defense, Jeff. With these weapons, he's able to run a offense that McVay is supposed to be the next offensive guru and genius. I think they upgraded at quarterback. I definitely do think they did that. And Matthew Stafford, like I said, he's not afraid to throw the ball. And that's the biggest thing with McVay and Goff is Goff and McVay butted heads because there was rumors that McVay was complaining about Goff, saying that he doesn't throw the ball downfield. He's afraid to throw the ball downfield. Something stopped working between them. So Jared Goff was not going to fit in well, and they traded him away. And at one point, though, Jeff, does trading away all these first-round picks come back to hurt the Los Angeles Rams? Being aggressive is great, but when will it come back to bite them? If they do not win, they win with Stafford if he takes them to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. If they went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, they didn't win it, but they got there. Matthew Stafford, and they've been a good team too. They've won 10-6 and 9-7, and they've been in the playoffs. If Matthew Stafford doesn't elevate them to a Super Bowl, then I don't think they win this trade. I think their window now is between 2 and 3 years with Matthew Stafford before these losing out on these first round picks is really going to hurt you. That's how I see that, though, that if they win the trade, if Matthew Stafford comes in and plays better, which I think he will, he adds some consistency to this team. Jared Goff was a very inconsistent quarterback. He was really good or he was really bad. It didn't seem like there was any in between. So that's how I think they could win. They definitely upgraded a quarterback, and Matthew Stafford, Jeff, he's not 40 years old. He's only 32. So it's not like he's fallen off a cliff. and can't throw the ball anymore like Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers over here. He still has an arm. I think he's happy to get out of Detroit and get to a team where he actually has a potential chance to win. Now, the Lions, in my opinion, they get not my opinion, but the Lions, they get 2 first-round picks. They add to their team. They got a new GM. They got which he was a part of the Rams front office last year. They add a new coach in Dan Campbell. These guys have a lot to do when it comes to changing the losing ways of the Lions, and more first round picks will help that. To me, Jared Goff, and they've already come on set, is kind of that link in between finding their next guy, and he's a capable quarterback. But to me, he's nothing to write home about. I don't think they're going to be successful there with Jared Goff. I think they might draft a quarterback potentially with these first-round picks they just got.
That makes sense.
And drafting their future quarterback and setting their ways. But Jared Goff is a guy where they can step in where they don't have to completely rebuild, where I think he's still a capable quarterback that – they're not going. I don't think they're going to have to completely rebuild everything. They give them some time there, but they're going to. Jared Goff is not their future, in my opinion. They've come out and basically said he's kind of the in between quarterback, but that and that may be an issue. The first round pick that the Rams gave him is in 2022 because the 2021 pick they gave away already. That was a part of the Jalen Ramsey trade back in the day, but. If they don't have those first round picks and aren't bad enough to get a first round pick to get a better quarterback, because Jared Goff is capable of winning 8 games a year, 7 games a year, where you're in middle of the pack, that may come back to hurt him. I don't know, but when they made this trade, I obviously thought that the Lions could take Jared Goff and trade him for more picks for down the road.
Huge upside for the Rams. The downsides, I don't think, is present in that situation with the Rams. Lions, that's a team that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So honestly, upside to downside doesn't really matter in that situation, because let's say Goff does well and they're in the playoffs. That's a huge upside, but they weren't expecting that.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's a trade that needed to happen. I think Stafford was probably going to sit out. And then if he hit free agency at some point, then they lose in general. Like, they're not going to gain anything from that. So how many picks do the Lions actually pick in the first round now?
This year, they only have 1.
Okay.
Next year, they have 2. And then the year after that, they'll have 2. Because they got the Rams 2020 and 2023 pick.
They couldn't score the first round pick this year? That's weird.
No, because the Rams had already given that first pick away in the Ramsey trade a while back.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a great trade for Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff, I don't know. I don't know if it's good for him. I don't know if that's bad for him. I mean, it's not going to be good.
This is not good for Jared Goff. He went to a team that's been poorly ran for a very long time. Maybe the GM changes that. But until we see it, we've got to believe that the Lions are still going to be bad. The new head coach, you don't know how Dan Campbell's going to be. He had a pretty interesting interview the other day. But it all depends, and I don't think the Lions are anywhere close as even the NFL, as we talked about earlier, where trust the process, and that's what they're going to have to do when you get a new GM and you get a new head coach, and you weren't set up for success in the first place. It's not like this GM and the coach had come into a really good situation, especially when your decent quarterback decides that, hey, I want out of here, and it's a mutual agreement. There was no hard feelings. It was kind of like, okay, we understand. But to me, when people look at this trade, it all depends on how you feel about Matthew Stafford. If you think Matthew Stafford's a bad quarterback, then you think the Rams are idiots, and you think that, why would you get rid of Jared Goff? But if you think Matthew Stafford's a very capable quarterback, of which I do, I think this is a good trade for both teams. I think it's a win-win for both teams. The Lions get the picks they need to rebuild this team with the new GM and the new coach, and the Rams have a 2 or 3 year window with the players they have and a top 10. They have the number 1 ranked defense last season. Stafford's never had that. He's never had that with the Lions. He's never had this. Now he had Megatron there, but he hasn't ever had a coach that's as good as Sean McVay and the systems he's able to run. So I think it's a win-win for both. I think the Rams got better. I think they, unless the 49ers do something in that division with their quarterback next year, they have rumors are that they're looking to move on for Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's going to be between the Rams and Seattle again. And I think it's the Rams are the better team with Matthew Stafford right now over Russell Wilson, over that defense of Seattle. So I put them number 1 in the division right now. If the 49ers don't do anything else, I think it's a great pick for both. It's a win-win in my opinion. And that all depends and falls apart on how you feel about Matthew Stafford and if you think he's still got something left in the tank, which I believe he does.
And I think like in terms of risk versus reward, the reward outweighs the risks in this. Yeah. Did they give up a 1st round pick? Sure. Does it matter? I don't think so. I think they're definitely one of the favorites to look out for next year.
I agree. And in an interesting way, I applaud the Rams for being aggressive. I applaud them for being so aggressive and a win now mentality. And that's something that I think the Green Bay Packers have lacked with an elite quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. The win now opportunity, the win now mentality. I think that's something that we've lacked. And then that's frustrating. But at the same point, Jeff, someone's got to hold the Rams accountable to their actions. And what I mean by that is they just signed Jared Goff last year. If they didn't think he was a good enough quarterback, why did you pay him all this money? They would have saved $30 million, Jeff, if they just let him turn out his contract. But his rookie contract didn't offer him another deal, but they signed him big. And they trade him a year later. They had to pay him an extra $30 million. They did the same thing with Todd Gurley. They gave him a big contract, and he was gone. These are going to start adding up on the team, their cap. This, to me, I do believe Stafford was a great pickup for them, but I do believe if this doesn't work out, that Sean McVay could be the scapegoat. And Sean McVay, if they don't win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford and making these bad contracts, but paying guys you really don't want to keep, I think it could be Sean McVay's ending in LA if he doesn't win a championship Super Bowl with this quarterback, because he's let this team go 7 years without a 1st round pick. And that's got to come back to haunt him at some point if they're not succeeding with these players they got.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
And the big thing they talked about too is I heard on ESPN the other day talking about this is they have a win now team, but they don't have a lot of depth because of all these draft picks they've given up. So you're hoping and hoping for a really healthy football team, which is hard to hope for. Everyone deals with injuries,
especially right now.
Yeah, with COVID, you could be out because of COVID, not even health injuries. But is your bench going to be good enough if they got to step in? That's something we have seen from them. Like I said, it's a win-win, but the Rams are being really risky. I can applaud them in a way for being aggressive, and I can also applaud them. A lot of coaches and organizations, when they make but when they make a deal with someone and maybe a year later they have regret, a lot of owners are stubborn, Jeff, and they will not, no matter what, they will hold on to that player just to not admit they were wrong. McVay and this GM has said, hey, we were wrong on Jared Goff. Let's trade him. We'll take them hit on the money wise. And I agree that's a good thing. If you made a mistake, getting out of it is fine. And admitting that you were wrong is great because not a lot of owners and GMs and coaches will do that. But in the long run, you've got to be better at talent evaluation on who you give contracts to or not. because in the long run, $30 million, Jeff, I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money that they could use somewhere else. So, they're playing with fire right now, and it seems to be working because they're winning, but is it sustainable? I don't know. I don't know how long it's sustainable for, but
in a year where I saw the Denver Broncos roll out a wide receiver at quarterback is a show right there of if you don't have depth,
yeah,
you're in trouble.
Yeah. And here's don't get me started with the thing with that is it was because the NFL wanted to prove a point out of Denver. And that's why they didn't really care about who your quarterback was. But that's a whole other topic. I think we talked about that a little while ago. But that is what we had for the episode this week. We look forward to doing this every week. Look forward to the videos. It's going to take a little while to get used to doing the video because we usually we used to do it just over Skype and no video, but so it'll be interesting. Yeah, man, that's all I got for you. I hope you have a good week. Do you have any special plans this week? You going to check out that documentary or what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to try to check out the documentary that you suggested. And I'm also, it's going to be kind of a weird week because we're about to get hit with like a winter blast. So it was like late, or I want to say like high 50s today. So we went out and it was sunny and it was nice and breezy. So yeah, this weekend's going to be an interesting weekend, but yeah, I definitely going to watch the documentary and I don't know. I may hop on and play a game with you or two. Game of two.
A game of two now sounds good. I got work on Saturday, but we can try and hit something up Saturday night, some Call of Duty or something. Just been working. Work's been a pain in my butt lately, man. But I'm hoping for that good paycheck on Friday. That's the good thing about it. But other than that, I already watched the documentary. I already took my notes. I'm going to probably watch it again before the end of the month. It's not a very fun watch. It's I left. I don't want to give anything away, but it's not a very fun watch. All right. Okay. So, but look forward to that episode, and that will be just a spotlight of the week in the last episode of the month. And we do one each week. And that's about it, guys. I hope you're able to stay safe, be safe out there, be smart with COVID, wear your mask, and hopefully you can get through all this crap. It's still going on, unfortunately. But
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Everybody just, stay safe and just kind of, share it around. We're going to post this on a few things. So it's going to be fun.
Yes. You can find us on YouTube, Watson's Playbook. This is going to be on there. You can find us on Twitch. You can find us on Google. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on Apple. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us. Did you jump on Twitter, Jeff?
I have one, but I can make one.
I didn't know. I had one. I don't use Twitter a lot. And then if you ever want to reach out to us, please email us. You can email me about anything. Sports views, sports takes, personal opinions. Are you depressed and you just want someone to talk to? Honestly, I'm here to talk to you. You can talk to us about anything. You got something that you want me and Jeff to talk about, something that you want me and Jeff to review for you, by all means, email us. It's watsonsplaybook@gmail.com. It's simple. It's easy. I'll get back with you. If you like this podcast show, just share it as much as possible. But that's going to be the end of this episode.
I have one more thing to say. When we start doing the live stream, people can come in and ask questions. Yeah. So we can open that up to where people can come in, and then if they have a question about something or a topic that just came up, we can kind of share our thoughts of that live right when it's happening. So, which is pretty cool. This service, I'm gonna shout them out real quick because it's pretty awesome. But this Riverside FM is pretty cool. So it allows us to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's one of the main reasons we joined them. Last episode, I think it was the last episode, we had a lot of issues with Skype. We were sounding like robots, and it was just sounding very bad. And we said we need a way that we could do this without sounding horrible. So we looked up a couple different ones, and Riverside really allows us to do everything we want to do. High quality, good quality sound, good quality video. It allows us to live stream if we want to, which is great. It allows people to call in on episodes. And we can have up to 8. Now, I don't think we'll ever have 8 people up on this. That'd be a lot of people talking, but we can have up to eight guests as well. So, that's excellent. And Riverside, you're wonderful, and, definitely give you a shout out and tag them in this, or put their name when we put this out. We'll put Riverside in there. So, and they're fairly new, if I'm not mistaken there, but there's actually, there's a lot of different platforms out there that are new, but this one, man, it seems to be great. Riverside, and high quality sound and 4K resolutions, and it's great. So, like I said, that's going to be the end of this episode number 37, the big Matthew Stafford trade and the spotlight of the week. Jeff, thanks for jumping on again this week, buddy. I hope you have a good week, and take care, brother.
All right, you too. Take care.